You will be reading Al's Jam on your own today. You might come across some words that you do not know how to read. What should you do when you don't know a word? Should you give up and not even try to read the word? No. There are so many different ways to figure out words that you don't know. These different ways are called reading strategies. Reading strategies help you when you get stuck on a word. Let's take a look at a couple of the reading strategies that help you figure out tough words when you're reading. The first reading strategy is I look. I look means that you look at the pictures to help you figure out a word you don't know. So if you come to a word that is hard for you to read, try looking at the picture for help. The picture might help you with the word you are trying to read. I'm going to try and read this sentence. Al is an al. I cannot figure out that last big word. What should I do? I know. I will look at the picture. Oh, that is an alligator. And that last word starts with the ah sound. That word is alligator. Al is an alligator. Instead of just giving up on that tough word, I looked at the picture and it really helped figure out the word. Let's look at one more reading strategy. Stretch out the word means to say the beginning sound and stretch out the other sounds in the word until you get to the last sound. Then you put the sounds back together to make the word. I am going to stretch out the word you see on the screen. K-a-t. Cat. Cat. So when you come to words that you do not know when you're reading, you have learned two different strategies that will help you figure out tough words. You have learned the I look and the stretch out the word reading strategies. What do the marks at the end of a sentence mean? It's a mystery. Let's start with a blue bubble with the periods. Put your finger on the dot at the end of this telling sentence. This is called a period. There is always a period at the end of a telling sentence. What is this punctuation mark called? When a sentence is asking a question, it ends with a question mark. Here's an easy question. What is your name? Let's read this book title. A Big Blue? The question mark means we don't know what is big and blue. That's the question. Here are two punctuation marks. Put your finger on the question mark. That's right. The yellow one that looks like he doesn't know the answer is the question mark. Who is the red one? Let's examine the exclamation point now. This sentence should be read with excitement. I love this book! Let's play a little game called Which Mark Will It Be? That is a mad dog! Point to the right mark. Are you pointing to the blue bubble with the exclamation point? That's right. Touch the ending mark for this sentence. They are playing hide and seek. Is your finger on the yellow bubble with the period? You got it! It's a telling sentence, so it ends in a period. Last mark, stare at the ending punctuation for this sentence. Where are you going? Are you staring at the green bubble with a question mark? Yes! A question sentence ends in a question mark. Great work, detective! Mystery solved! You will be writing a lot of sentences in first grade. It will be important to remember certain rules when you are writing your sentences. The first rule to remember is all sentences begin with a capital letter. Look at this sentence. Why is the A in the word after capitalized? The word after is the first word in that sentence, and what is the rule? All sentences begin with a capital letter. You have learned a lot today. Now that you know how to begin and end your sentences when you are writing, be sure to use the rules we learned today. All sentences begin with a capital letter, and all sentences end with a punctuation mark. Have you heard of a noun? A noun is a naming word for a person, animal, place, thing, or idea. Let's start with nouns that name people. Fireman, grandma, children, your teacher, you. Animal names are nouns too. Everything from a little worm to a tall giraffe. Any place you go is a noun. Your bedroom is a noun, and so is the moon. Look around the room you're in. Everything you see is a noun. The computer you are watching and the chair you are sitting on. Anything you see, hold, or buy is a noun. Food, toys, everything in your house. Even your house is a noun. Ideas are called nouns too. Love and friendship are nouns. How many nouns can we find in this picture? Who are the people? We see mom, dad, sister, and 2 brothers. What do you see in the place they are? We can see the sky and clouds, water, a hill, bushes, and flowers. What things do you see? We can see a couch, a table, a book, and a deck. Also, this family has love, which is a noun. Let's go to the park to find more nouns. What people do you see? Yes, there are 2 boys and a girl. Name the animals and insects. We can see birds, a cat, dog, ladybug, and butterflies. Let's look at the place. They are at the park. Park is a noun. What can you see in the sky? The sun and clouds are nouns. What do you see growing? The trees, grass, flowers, and mushrooms are all nouns. Lastly, let's look at the things at the park. What equipment do you see? These are nouns to play on: the slide, swings, and spring rider. And these children share friendship, which is also a noun. Nouns are all around us. Go tell a parent which nouns you can find in your house. Let's learn how to do a 5-finger retell. We'll We'll use the story, Little Red Riding Hood, as an example. First, wiggle your thumb as we talk about who is in the story. There are 4 characters: Little Red Riding Hood, her grandma, the big bad wolf, and the lumberjack. Second, jiggle your pointer finger for the setting. Little Red Riding Hood takes place in the woods and at Grandma's house. Next, it's time to shake your tall finger as we describe the problem. The big bad wolf puts Grandma in the closet and pretends to be her. He wants to eat Little Red Riding Hood. Now wiggle your ring finger as we tell the events in order. In the beginning, Little Red Riding Hood is walking through the woods to visit her grandma, and she meets the wolf. In the middle, the big bad wolf dresses up like the grandma to trick Little Red Riding Hood. At the end, the lumberjack saves Little Red Riding Hood and her grandma from the wolf. Please jiggle your pinky while we restate that the lumberjack uses his axe to solve the problem of the big bad wolf. Now, tap the palm of your hand while we make a connection from the story to your life. Have you ever visited your grandma? Lastly, close all your fingers to make the shape of a light bulb. The main idea of this story is to not trust strangers. You and your hand know how to do a story retell.
You have learned that a noun is a person, place, or thing. These are also called common nouns. So, what is a proper noun? A proper noun is the name of a specific person, a place, a thing, or a title. Proper nouns are always capitalized because they are important. Let's take a look at some examples of proper nouns. Mrs. Travis is a proper noun because it names a specific person. New York is a proper noun because it names a specific place. January is a proper noun because it names a month of the year and it is a title. Let's look closely at the difference between common nouns and proper nouns. Listen to this sentence. Mrs. Travis is a nice teacher. What is the common noun in that sentence? Teacher is the common noun in that sentence because it names a person. What is the proper noun in that sentence? Mrs. Travis is the proper noun because Mrs. Travis is a specific person. Listen to this sentence. New York is a fun city to visit. What is the common noun in that sentence? City is the common noun in that sentence because it names a place. What is the proper noun in that sentence? New York is the proper noun because New York is a specific place. Listen to this sentence. What month comes after January? What is the common noun in that sentence? Month is the common noun in that sentence because it names a thing. What is the proper noun in that sentence? January is the proper noun because January is a specific thing or title. So, a common noun names a person, place, or thing, and a proper noun names a specific person, place, or thing. And remember, you always capitalize proper nouns.
What do the marks at the end of a sentence mean? It's a mystery. Let's start with a blue bubble with the periods. Put your finger on the dot at the end of this telling sentence. This is called a period. There is always a period at the end of a telling sentence. What is this punctuation mark called? When a sentence is asking a question, it ends with a question mark. Here's an easy question. What is your name? Let's read this book title. A Big Blue? The question mark means we don't know what is big and blue. That's the question. Here are two punctuation marks. Put your finger on the question mark. That's right. The yellow one that looks like he doesn't know the answer is the question mark. Who is the red one? Let's examine the exclamation point now. This sentence should be read with excitement. I love this book! Let's play a little game called Which Mark Will It Be? That is a mad dog! Point to the right mark. Are you pointing to the blue bubble with the exclamation point? That's right. Touch the ending mark for this sentence. They are playing hide and seek. Is your finger on the yellow bubble with the period? You got it! It's a telling sentence, so it ends in a period. Last mark, stare at the ending punctuation for this sentence. Where are you going? Are you staring at the green bubble with a question mark? Yes! A question sentence ends in a question mark. Great work, detective! Mystery solved! You learned that a verb is a doing word. What are these girls doing? Yes, they are jumping, and jumping is a verb. Verbs can change according to tense. Tense means something that happens in the past, present, or future. Present tense means today. Past tense means yesterday. Future tense means tomorrow. Let's take a look at how verbs change form when different tenses are used. I walk to the store. The verb in this sentence is walk. It is in the present tense because the walk happens today. I walked to the store yesterday. The verb in this sentence is still walk, but it changed to walked because the walk happened yesterday. I will walk to the store on Thursday. The verb in this sentence is still walk, but it changed a bit with the helping word will because this walk happens in the future. Let's practice another verb. I jump high. The verb in this sentence is jump. It is in the present tense because the jump happens today. I jumped high yesterday. The verb in this sentence is still jump, but it changed to jumped because the jump happened yesterday. I will jump high on Friday. The verb in this sentence is still jump, but it changed a bit with the helping word will, because this jump happens in the future. Let's try one more verb. I play on the swing set. The verb in this sentence is play. It is in the present tense because play happens today. I played on the swing set yesterday. The verb in this sentence is still play, but it changed to played because the play happened yesterday. I will play on the swing set tomorrow. The verb in this sentence is still play, but it changed a bit with the helping word will because this play happens in the future. Verb tenses may seem a bit tricky, but if you always check what you are reading and writing to see if it makes sense, usually you will be able to tell if you need to change the form of your verb. Have you heard of a verb? A verb is a doing word. What are these girls doing? Yes, they're jumping, and jumping is a verb. Let's start with verbs that are action words. Perform, drop, brush, kick, leap, eat, question. How many action verbs are you doing right now? You are sitting, breathing, listening, thinking, learning. Now smile. Smiling is an action verb too. Being words are also verbs, such as be, is, am, are. Here are some verbs we read and write a lot. See. I see ice cream. Which word is the verb? Yes, see is a verb. Like. I like ice cream. Which word is the verb? Yes, like is a verb. Love. I love ice cream. Which word is the verb? Yes, love is a verb. Life would be so boring without verbs. We wouldn't be, we wouldn't do. But with verbs, we get to play, sing, dance, hide, seek, and grow. Now go tell a parent some verbs you have learned. Do you know what an adjective is? An adjective is a word that tells about a person, place, or thing. And what is a person, place, or thing? A noun. So an adjective is a word that tells about a noun. Adjectives give you details about nouns. The small girl is walking. Small is the adjective in this sentence because it tells you about the girl. She is small. Let's look at some more adjectives. This is a big house. Big is the adjective in this sentence because it tells you about the house. It is big. The pink pig is on the farm. Pink is the adjective in this sentence because it tells you about the pig. It is pink. Adjectives are very important words in our sentences. Adjectives tell us a lot about people, places, and things. What happens when sentences do not have adjectives? Listen to this sentence. There is a dog. There is no adjective in that sentence. We do not know what kind of dog it is. Listen to this sentence. There is a smart dog. Smart is the adjective in this sentence. The word smart tells us about the dog. Now we know that the dog is smart. Sentences without adjectives are like a world without color. Take a look at the picture on your screen. Here's a sentence describing this picture. I see water, grass, mountains, and the sky. Now look at the picture on your screen. It is similar to the picture you just saw, but it is in color. Here's the sentence describing this picture. I see glassy water, green grass, lush trees, and a beautiful blue sky. Wow, that sentence was quite a bit different. Did you pick up on all of those adjectives? Glassy tells about the water. Green tells about the grass. Lush tells about the trees. And beautiful and blue tell about the sky. We hear adjectives all day long. Be sure to listen for them and use them, both in your writing and when you are speaking. The bananas do not taste very good. They need to ripen before we eat them. I was able to read every word in those sentences, but I have no idea what the word ripen means. Sometimes we come across a word we can sound out and read, but we do not know what it means, like ripen. So, when you come across a word you do not understand, should you just keep reading? No. It is important to understand the meaning of the words you are reading. If you do not know the meaning of the words you are reading, you will not understand the stories you are reading either. So, what should you do when you come across a word you don't understand? You should use context clues. Context clues? What does that mean? Context clues means using words in the rest of the sentence or sentences to help you figure out the meaning of the word you don't understand. Using context clues is like being a word detective. So, let's be word detectives to figure out words we do not understand. How about we start with the word ripen? Listen to these sentences. The bananas do not taste very good. They need to ripen before we eat them. Let's be word detectives and think about the words before and after the word ripen to help us understand that word. Let's see. I know that the bananas do not taste good from the words in the first sentence, which means that they are probably not ready to be eaten. So, I bet ripen means that the bananas need more time before we can eat them. See how I figured out the word ripen by looking at the words that came before it? I used context clues, and I was a word detective. Let's read another sentence. If I do not oversee my sister while she makes breakfast, she makes a huge mess. When I oversee her, she does a much better job. I was able to read every word in those sentences, but I do not know what oversee means. What should I do? I should be a word detective. It sounds like the sister is messy when she makes breakfast, but not as messy when someone oversees her. I think oversees means to watch over the sister to make sure she does not make such a mess. The other words before and after the word oversee really helped me figure out what it means. I was a word detective. There are a lot of words out there that you are still learning the meanings to. Just be a word detective, and I bet you can figure out almost all the meanings to the words you can sound out.